We need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Donna.
Second.
Second by Steve. There's no additions, so I'll assume the agenda's good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Kenny. Second by Donna. Is there any discussion about the minutes or any additions or corrections? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Donna, did you vote? Donna, did you vote? Okay. Okay.
I said yes.
I just didn't hear you. Had you get turned. I couldn't see you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the first thing up will be the Judicial Commission. David Williams.
Well, everybody's got my report. Like wasn't too bad this in the month of December. 117 warrants, 11 domestics, no sexual assaults, only 7 orders of protection, which was a little unusual for the holidays. 4 GPSs placed on from the domestics, 1 interlock from a DUI, 4 criminal summonses, 3 blood search warrants, 11 juvenile petitions, just 22 information calls, 120 minimuses, families in crisis assisted with all 11 of the domestic with orders of protection. Commissioners Don Cantrell and Stephen Martin went to JCAT training in Gatlinburg, and we had, out of the warrants, 2 abuse cases was due to witness in the domestic. That's something that started new this year. And of course, the quarterly report will be there for the full court, unless you want to go over it.
We got some visitors tonight. If you wouldn't care, explain to them what your job is.
Okay. My job right now is officers are called to scenes. They deem that they think that there's enough information at the scene to make an arrest. They end up bringing them in. They present the case to us. We determine on, okay, we can go with like a regular assault. It may turn into an aggravated assault. Then we place the bonds. We make sure that everything's in the body of the warrant, like the probable cause for how they got even to that scene, what evidence they ended up gathering there at the scene to prove that this person may be guilty of this supposed crime. And then we'll set a bond and normally set them a court date. You know, a lot of times we need to go back there and look at their past records, see if they're on probation, see if they're ever had violations, failures to appear, and things of that nature. The legislature went in effect in July that said bond is not only now to guarantee them to appear in court, but now it is determined to be the safety of the community as part of why these people need to be able to be let loose, or if they don't. The only people that can hold without a bond is a fugitive from justice, which is a fugitive from another state, and they're guaranteeing that they will extradite, or the failures to appear that Judge Moore will place, or violation of probations that him or Judge Stanley, either one will place. Unless we write a first degree murder, and then we can do that without a bond until they appear before the judge. Different counties do judicial commissioners differently. Some of them do no juvenile petitions. We handle all the juvenile petitions that are for truancy, or if they get in and do adult crimes or whatever, we handle that here also. The only civil thing we do is the orders of protection that goes to Judge Stanley's court on specific court dates of the month. Families in Crisis is a wonderful asset to help us with that. They come out and normally want to talk to most of the victims of a domestic abuse, and they provide a whole lot of different services if is needed there that night or afternoon or whenever a domestic assault may be. Got any questions?
How much training does a judicial commissioner have to take?
Okay, the state requires us 12 hours each additional year, more or less, to learn new laws. Then a lot of the training can come from within the court systems in the county if the judges choose to let you do that. A lot of it is common sense, and then you start learning as you're out there on the job to a point.
I've been out to the jail and job shadowed David, and somebody comes in and they've arrested him, and he sits right down beside of them and gets the information and explains everything, what they're being charged with and what their bond is going to be. And I admire him for that, because they're not in a good mood.
Now, some people are not normally happy about it. And
No.
Of course, for a majority of people, it's not that they did anything wrong, it's everybody else did something wrong to them. So.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any questions? It's a good question.
No question, just comment. I'm still amazed of, and me and Davis talked about this when it comes to the juvenile petitions, how they've decreased or stayed stagnant ever since they imposed the cell phone policy. That is a huge deal when it comes to these kids, and we don't have nowhere near as many threats. I really think Grant Swallows, when he did that, I mean, it's, of course, we're nationally recognized now, especially state. It's been a huge deal making that policy where it's no cell phones, because it takes care of a lot of. That was probably 85% of the issues that how it all started and triggered before school, after school. So I'm always happy when we see that number really low.
Well, and I know, your wife is a front rows of how this ended up helping us out, because from what I understand, even the grade points and everything in school has went up, and the bullying at school is almost non-existent now without a cell phone.
Yeah, it's amazing what you don't hear about. I mean, they probably have they have cell phones that, can they have them at that?
No, it's not. It's Hickory Creek.
Can't have them.
They can't have them there.
I didn't know if anybody had them or not, but it's a big deal. It's something that you just have to know that, because it's changed a whole bunch in a positive direction. So I hope it just continues.
Yes, it has.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Any more questions? We have a motion to approve David's report by Steve,
I'll say.
second by Chris. Is there any more discussion? If there's no more discussion or no more questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? 0. Motion carries 5-0. Next up is the Codes Department.
So you got-
And Cole Miller.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tommy. So you got my permit detail report here. Kind of a slow month of December, understanding the holidays. So, construction is pretty slow. New permitting is pretty slow, at least. $9,350 to total fees. Permit money that was issued. $8,900 in permit fees that we received. So we got an outstanding balance on one permit of $450. Do you want me to? I'll jump back.
Go ahead and give your report, and then we can talk about that.
We also got, let me apologize, the case report for the environmental codes cases. I don't know why it printed off like this, but it's like 10 pages long. I'm terribly sorry. But if you look, there's 4 pending court right now. The open cases, it's still a pretty long list. Me and Robert had a meeting. It's been a long week, either yesterday or Monday. We got, I think, 7 cases, lack of better words, preloaded to go to court. So these will change, in the next week or so once they get court dates. The Clements Road, which y'all know we got a default on that. Robert, on per meeting this week, he's gonna make a letter to give the county, or his interpretation of the law, that the county can use county assets to work on this property. So once we get that letter, then we can move forward on getting the property cleaned up. It's kind of uncharted territory for me. This will be the first time that we've seen it all the way, through to us actually going in and either bidding it out or cleaning up the property ourselves and attaching a lien to the property. So I'll keep y'all updated with how that goes. Other than that, if y'all have any questions, I usually give you big old long lists, so I know it's a lot to look through.
So these is closed, so they won't come off here.
I'm really skeptical, I guess is the word, to take any off the list.
I got you.
Because if a lot of these people become reoffenders, once they clean it up, we get them out of court and they pay their court fees, and then the next year, what I'm typically seeing is the neighbors are calling me again and reporting it right back up. So
Lifestyle.
yeah, and it's a mental illness, if we're being honest. And so, they'll forever stay in the system as closed. That way we have proof and evidence of what happened before. And if we ever get to that point in court where we have to establish a pattern for something, it's all there.
Hey, this 497 is 1200 Capitol Road. That James Broadway.
Yeah, it's been closed out for a long time. I know we've talked about it. The animals are one thing.
Yeah.
That I can't do nothing about. The noise, I can't really do nothing about, even though I feel terribly sorry for his neighbor.
I don't know.
Really, the junk of the property is firewood, and I feel like we really don't have a leg to stand on to get the firewood cleaned up. And I mean, the property looks horrible. It's just underkept. But unless it's 6 or 7 vehicles, or they're deliberately throwing bags of trash, there's just me taking them to court is going to waste county money because we're going to lose. And so that's where I have to look at it.
I think right is.
It ain't right, and I have to deal with this all the time. I take quite a few tongue lashings, every week, trying to explain to people that, these are civil matters. I had one, she gave me 45 minutes of what she wanted to say on the way home 2 nights ago, because she feels her neighbors should be in jail for how bad it is. And, once I told her they're not going to go to jail either way, that's not what she wanted to hear. And I understand and I sympathize, but at the end of the day, I can't, if I know we don't have a case and now we're getting Robert and attorney fees and court costs, I got to look out for the taxpayer too.
But you present it, you present it to the county attorney and he presents it to the judge, and that's as far as you can go.
It is. And a lot of times, Robert's really good about saying, we need to have a conversation with this person, and that's the best we're going to be able to do, and sometimes that works. Sometimes people didn't realize that their whole neighborhood was, really mad at them for the way they kept their property. I'd say it's happened twice, but, and 9 times out of 10, like you say, it's a lifestyle and it's a mental illness, and these people really don't see any issue with what's going on. So, you're really battling trying to convince them of the issue.
I've seen people that live in one end of the county and their parents or grandparents were bad housekeepers around their house. The place was all jumped up. You go to the other end of the county where one of their sons or daughters lives, and it's the same way. It's a generation.
It's interesting you say that. I know we're kind of on time, but twice
you've
now,
seen that, hadn't you?
Twice now I've been to court. The first time we ever went to court, they were all sitting on the bench. All the people we took to court, they're sitting on the bench talking like good old buddies, And me and Robert just so happened to ask them, "Do y'all know each other?" And they're like, "Yeah, this is the mom and her 2 sons," and they all lived on opposite sides of the county. And I'm not joking with you. Another time I've been to court, we were taking one from Morrison, and her and it was a lady and both of her sisters for 3 different properties in this county at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a mental illness. I'm not a scientist or a doctor. I don't know what goes into that, but it is very much that once it's in the family, it's hard to get out. I don't understand.
Apple don't fall from the tree, did it?
No.
Only permits, is it down or is it up or holding something?
For last month, it was definitely down. I mean, I didn't pull the numbers from typically we see a pretty down month in the month of December. just
Okay,
because of the
that's a
holidays.
seasonal thing.
It's a seasonal thing. I would think that it's a little bit down to where we were 2 years ago, but really and truly, I think the problem is we're running out of places to put them. It ain't that the market's not here. Which I'm no realtor and I'm no big real estate tycoon or nothing like that, but I do get to see these, permits being pulled, and I have 2 or 3 people that, pull permits, that when they pull permits, they pull 10 or 15 at a time. And those folks don't seem to be slowing down much.
Are those spec houses or are they being custom built for individuals?
Spec houses. No, everybody wants their house and they want it right now. And that's the world we live in. It's just like everything else. Yeah. So yeah, it was slow last month. I'd say this is probably the slowest December since I've been here. I will say that, but I think we'll know more about the market coming probably the summertime.
Yeah.
What's really going to happen.
Grass growing season is when everything picks up.
Yeah.
It seems like I've sold a few houses and you'll come here suddenly in the middle of summer when the grass is pretty green.
There might be something to it.
When it's muddy around
you might
the
have
house.
missed your call and you could have been a real estate agent.
I have had my real estate license before. I didn't sell anything. But,
Seen a lot of pools, believe it or not.
does anybody have any questions?
So we have another
For
copy of
code.
the report? What's up? You have another copy of the report?
Oh, this is yours. I was wondering why I had an extra.
Stolen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Wait, no. This is yours.
Yeah, this is real.
You just have the cover page.
Make sure Chris's is pretty.
There's no questions, no more discussion. All in favor to approve Cole's report, motion by Kenny.
Second.
Second by Steve. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Make a motion in the full code. Within 18 performing.
Yeah, they just right
Next thing is discuss the Warren County Schools Employee Clinic. Kenny, do you have a question?
I did, I just wanted to kind of bring some stuff to the table and really start the ball rolling on figuring out how we can expand the clinic. Because right now, I got an email today from one of the guys who said we're over 85% utilization of the clinic. When you take the Warren County employees and the schools, last year there was 4,720 visits to the clinic. Of that, 1,258 were county employees, 3,462 were from the school system. Of course, the school system has the lion's share of the employees. But the county increased 5%, the school system increased 9% from the last year. Now, one of the things that kind of got me thinking about this was I actually went out there and used the clinic. And the space is very small. It is, and when you take seeing nearly 5,000 people a year in that space, it's there's some limitations. Something that I witnessed myself was the receptionist had to go outside to get some water to have drinkable water. Because you can't get water out of the patient rooms because of the health code violations. You don't want somebody in there with the flu or COVID or something coughing around in the patient rooms and then you're drawing water out of the sink because it's cross contamination.
Have you talked to the school maintenance on anything like this?
I haven't yet, so that's why I'm.
Well, that would be something they could do.
Well, they have. The school is aware of this stuff. That's not the only issue. There's I got a list that I got for everybody, just so that people can have some of the topics that I talked to Haley. I've talked to some other folks, and I think they mentioned that they have to leave the clinic area to go outside and get to their storage room. The waiting room right there as soon as you walk in. If you've got somebody that's in there for a primary care well visit, just for a follow-up blood draw or whatever, and somebody comes in sick, it's extremely small, so you have the potential for somebody to get sick. Limited workspaces. The lab actually doubles as a workspace for the nurse. So she doesn't have her own office. She has to use the lab for her office too. Let's see. They're continuing to get new patients for primary care. When I talked to Haley, she said, I could do primary care and I can do sick. She said, and you can do them both well, but when you get the increase, you've got to figure out, where that line is. I went out there for something relatively non-urgent and had a 3-day wait. One of the reasons that we did the clinic was to be able to limit the amount of time people had to wait to get into a clinic so that the insurance wouldn't be utilized and it would drive the cost of insurance premiums down. The usage of the insurance would ultimately, the claims data would drop so that we had a little more bargaining power. And so if somebody has to wait 3 days when they wake up sick, and I even mentioned this to them, I said, I live in a place where to get to the clinic, I have to drive by FastPass. If I'm sick and I look and I scan my QR code and they're like, oh, we can't see you till, for 3 days, or, it's going to be 2 days, the weekend plus Monday, I can go over to FastPass and sit in the waiting room with the sick people and get seen that day. So being able to do that and increase the utilization, increase another side. I talked to our county executive, Bell, and there was some talk about using some space at the mall that's empty right now. And opening up a second location, duplicating efforts, getting potentially another provider to be able to see other patients. Then the utilization comes down. People on the Rock Island side of the community can stop there and be seen. You can increase your primary care, you can increase your sick visits. You're able to do several things. The other thing that Haley mentioned was that the 3 of them are covering their double duty. Haley has to dispense medicine. She has to type out instructions for medicines. She has to send 20% of her charts to Dr. Kirby. So there's no office manager to manage those things. So they're doing all of those things within the.
That's been since day one.
Since day one.
Since day one. That didn't just happen.
No, it did not just happen. But the utilization, it limits the amount of people that can see and how effective the clinic can be because they're having to do those tasks. And it doesn't mean that, and she never said that it was a bad thing that they're having to do that, but when you split your time through all of those different tasks, it's really hard to be able to see the patients that need to be
But
seen.
with the increase of what we have coming in, and if somebody's out, it's double, and it takes away from what the employee clinic we talked about to start in the first place. On top of that,
Like any other companies.
yeah, but we're also the busiest clinic in the region. And when we first started this, there was a lot of opposition as to who was going to have, clients or not. So it's a good thing, but those are concerns that, it is what it is.
Now that we've reached the ceiling, we've got to look at doing something different to help
Right.
better serve
If
our
we wouldn't have the conversation if it would working well. Is my big thing.
And the
But I
fact-
tell you, listen, you can go to any clinic right now. You can go to any doctor's office. You can go to the pharmacies. They're all overwhelmed right now. Flu season. It's cold and flu season. It's not just a Warren County or a Middle Tennessee problem. It's all over the country.
Right.
No, we're not talking about the problem.
What
We're
we
talking about the
do,
employee
we had another one,
clinic part.
and then you've got it split. And so you don't have enough people going to either one of them, say.
I think you're missing the point. The point is that we're at over 85% utilization now and a 4-day wait. People are not going to our clinic, they're going and using their insurance as the fast pace.
So they could
And
go
we
to
had this
the
trajectory to here, and now they're gonna say, well, I'm not gonna worry about going to the clinic. I'm just gonna go to fast pace, use my insurance, and we're gonna keep their insurance premiums.
Sometimes you gotta do that. Listen,
Sometimes.
I tried to see my doctor And it was gonna be 2 or 3 weeks before I
Sure,
see him.
but if we have a solution to be able to do it, to fix it, then I think that we at least start the ball rolling to be able to do that. And even the county executive has agreed that we've got to make
Somewhere down, we're only 2.5 years into this.
and ready for our next negotiation.
This is a big step. We need to back off just a little bit.
We need to
We need to
solve the problem.
reassess and.
We need to solve the problem.
But we're not talking about
It's not
back-
gonna come overnight.
We're not talking about.
No,
We're
no.
not talking about. Let me stop because we did this last time. If we're going to be proactive on stuff that we bring up, we don't need to let it sit and not have a discussion for 4 years. Now, I'm not talking about making a decision in 4 or 5 months or 3 months, but we need to at least discuss when it's brought up in our seals 85%. We at least need to know what we can actually do and talk about. So whether that be
We
a
can't do anything
space.
till budget time right now anyway, and so we're
Right.
6 months out from even getting this started. And the thing I wanted to talk to David about, and I'm glad he was here, because the numbers that I was given says that we've used 0 for workman's comp. There's been 0 workman's comp visits, and that was one of the reasons.
That's wrong.
So that needs to be corrected. We need to check with them because there's been a bunch of drug screens. I say a bunch. There's been 40 or 50 drug screens, but no workman's comp claims have come through there that have been reported to meta-analysis. I've got the spreadsheet. It's on my phone.
But I got people going out there every week. So.
Sure, but we just need to figure out if they're not coding it right, because if they're not coding it right, then that kind of changes how that, and then that solves that data issue.
Another thing too, just
kinda got
remember.
that worked out. Well, we've been in there maybe
We
2 months.
didn't go active until last week of September.
Right. And I knew when we had talked about it in the county court, and I was like, I don't think that data's right because
I think
we
we've
had talked
only
about it.
had 6 or 7 people.
Right. So yeah, it's probably just a matter of they just didn't put it in the system correctly. So, but there was like 50 drug screens, they said. But as far as moving forward and trying to keep this ball rolling, we're going to what will wind up happening in the long term is if we don't do something, then they're going to start using like their primary care doctors, which they have to wind up getting 2 weeks out. They're going to go to fast pace, which is going to cost them money. They're going to have to file their insurance, and it's going to increase our claims data, which is going to keep our premiums up. If we ever get a chance to renegotiate with Blue Cross Blue Shield to decrease our claims and our premiums, then we're going to wind up in a spot where we don't have that leverage anymore because they've used their insurance. Now our claims data is up, and they're going to say, well, you're utilizing your insurance. Well, that's because they can't get into the clinic. If you can get in a couple of days, it's okay. But if it's 3 or 4 days and I've got the flu, I'm not waiting. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the fast pace or whatever, or to the ER or whatever.
Are we still looking at? I know we talked about possibly the city employees at one point, maybe looking to jump in on this. Is that still something that, or is that?
Well, I mean,
I know we had
it
talked-
all comes down to money. I mean,
Right.
you're talking about basically another $1 million, probably to open up another $1 million a year to open up another clinic. That's probably what that's costing.
He sent some stuff today. Mr. Haller sent, and he said he was happy to come in and meet with us and talk to us. And he said adding a second clinic. I'll forward this email to y'all. The county's cost would be around $280,000. The city would be in at about $203,000, and then well, is that right? Because
You're at $483 already.
stand by. Hold on, stand by. I didn't get a chance to print it. It hit my email. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting it to be cheap, but when
see,
county employees bring something up, regardless, I just want to bring it up as proactive so we can at least put it on the table.
We have to start the ball rolling and
just
discussion.
a brainstorm. I'm
Because
not
right now
expecting
they're
that.
drowning in their space. They're not able to use. There's a conference room that they can't even go around because they're being told they can't utilize the space. But if there's people in there, they can't go through there. They've got to go basically out of the clinic, upstairs and around and over the river and through the woods to their break room. So they have to take breaks inside the clinic, inside Haley's office, because there is no break room. They're in this space. The space for the receptionist is like 4 by 4, 5 by 5. Like she just walks in and sits down, and she doesn't have the space to be able to do that stuff.
Kenny, what was the school's part be?
If we added another clinic, I'll email this to everybody. The schools would go to 627,000. Ours would go to 237,500, and the city would be 85,500 if we had a second clinic. And then there's a fixed cost of
So basically, you're talking about $900,000.
$900,000. Yeah.
plus the space.
Plus we gotta renovate the
Because
space.
you would have to
You want to renovate,
So
Right.
you're talking about $250,000 to renovate.
Right.
To put in anything to where you can make that happen. So you're talking about over $1 million, and we're about $87,000 a penny, so you're talking about 12-cent tax increase. to fund
Right.
the-
that's about $1 million
But
a year.
we were able to figure out, we were able to
12
figure
cent
out,
tax increase.
but we were able to figure out how to do the first clinic out of some other funds too, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
didn't
but
raise taxes for that.
the only problem you've got is though the schools may not be in to jump for another clinic.
Sure, but that's why we have to start the discussion and ask the
Yeah,
question.
that's why we're just trying to figure out. I just brainstormed. They brought this up. It's been about a year since they really start popping off with like we're.
And the fact that they're making them go outside to get potable water when it's 20 degrees
what the
outside.
options
Well, they should be
Not
calling school maintenance.
There's nothing that they can do.
Maintenance can't do anything about
There's no
that.
space to be able to put potable water in that building.
You've got a building, a new building, it's
And
not got water.
no, there's water in it, but they can't go through the building in the spaces that they need to go because there's conference rooms attached to it. And if
The way
they're
it's
using there,
laid
they've
out.
been told they can't go through there.
Can't somebody run a PVC pipe underneath and come up in there?
Where are they gonna put it? We gotta figure out where they're gonna put it, because you can't get it out of the lab, you
Yeah.
can't get it out of the patient rooms, you can't get it in her 5x5, you know?
I don't think this requires much more than a high school education, a little bit.
I think if you went out there and you were seen and you saw.
Yeah, we're not
the
talking about.
problems-
We know what maintenance people can do. We're. It's literally going to be an issue of like we're growing. Do we have ways to expand the clinic to be proactive? with what we
Because
got?
there's no physical space to expand over there.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying
So-
it's not a matter of.
There's no way that she
Education
can
part of it.
utilize that space any better. And they're happy. Everybody over there, there's nobody that's complaining or they're not fussing. Everybody's doing, they're excited about it. But they can't grow, which means our clinic numbers can't grow. And we're gonna hit this ceiling and people are gonna start utilizing it in a way that, you know, or they're gonna hit this ceiling and not be able to utilize it the way that it could be. And then if we start using the workman's comp and our workman's comp stuff, then that's gonna take away from that resource too. So that's why I thought we've got
Do you
to
think there's another option?
get the
Yeah, I
conversation
think
started.
we'll have to expand the thing. I think this is kind of premature because the schools has got to be on board. The cost to be enormous to the county. And when I sit in on the meetings to when the school was putting it in, Todd Gerling told us that you need about 1,000 employees to have a clinic. So if you're not partnering with the schools, you don't have we've got 300 is all we've got. So you're talking about massive cost to try to jump out on your own and do your own. And I don't know the success of your clinic is your employees over there. All right, if you've tried to hire anybody lately, try to match the success. Where you gonna get the successful people if you start another one over here? You
Right.
gotta have those same people or this one over here won't work.
That's what I told her. I said,
Everybody's like, I'm going to this one
well,
over here.
when we talked about it,
to
I said, I would
It'd be a referral.
absolutely say, Haley, who do you recommend? Like, talk to somebody that has the same passion that you do for this, because those people over there is what makes that place
That's
a
what I'm saying.
success, 1,000,000%. And I started being premature. I don't think you can be too premature to have a conversation to be able to figure out how we're going to expand something that's already over 85% utilization. You know, if I had a restaurant and I was over 85% utilization, or if I had a business that was over 85%, then I got to figure out how to get bigger. How do I expand? What do I do with this thing? And so there's got to be a starting point to have a discussion, and it may take 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever. And, you know, we've got empty space at the mall that can be renovated. We just got to figure out where the money comes from.
Okay, we've had the discussion, maybe this plants the seed somewhere down the road, we can do this. This will not come overnight.
No,
The county is
absolutely
in
not.
decent financial shape. But listen, we've got school buildings that are, our new high school is about 40 years old. We've got a lot of things down the road that's gonna cost a lot of money. And see, the county has to fund that.
That's why I just wanted to bring this up and kind of get this ball rolling.
Okay, so you plant the seed, and I think your heart's in the right place. And we gotta be careful how we do this, because $1 million, and when you've got to have a balanced budget. We've got to be real careful.
Oh, you're not telling me anything I don't already know.
Okay, we've got to be careful. But, this is discussion only, so Appreciate everybody's input on this. Kenny, appreciate your hard work on this. What's my next thing? I've lost my. Oh, there it is. All right. Public comment? Any public comment? Got public here?
That'd be me.
All right, we've got other business that come forward to the committee. Chris, you had some stuff.
I did. So I want to bring this up. Did you get my? I sent you on the email. I sent the email. Yeah. Is that why you're here to harass me? Oh. So it's another brainstorm thing. So this has to do with an issue that came up with me. It actually came through Cassie's office at the clerk's office. It has to do with the school delay days, the 2 hour delay days that we have through the school system. Some of the county employees, and I can't speak for all of them, I know for a fact, say Cassie's office, when it's a 2 hour delay, and Swallows announces that, the ladies who have kids has to either use their personal time, vacation time, or their lunch time to make up for that. And so it was brought up to me, and there was a few other departments to do it too. I don't know if some departments are using like a boss discretion that they are allowing them to do certain things, but for Cassie's office, it cuts into their vacation time. We don't know about the 2 hour delay when it's going to be. It's unlimited amount you can use. I would like to just try to get ideas of if that's something that we can. I don't know if it's something you have to do with the policy or if the supervisor can kind of adjust their time because they're hourly. If they were salary, it probably wouldn't matter. But to me, honestly, I think it's a little bit unfair that they have to use their vacation time or their lunch time to make up for that. And I just don't know how that should work, if there's something we can do. But it was brought to me, and I wanted to just kind of.
Well, this is not a new problem. This is not new. I've been here nearly 12 years, and I've heard it plenty of times.
I understand that. It was new to me, so
Bill's
I'm just
been
bringing
here
it
a
up.
lot longer, and he's heard it since day one, I'm sure.
Well, let me ask the question. Since it's new to me and I didn't know about it, whether it's 12 years or 15 or 1, is there something that can be done, or is that how would that work, or what could be done to
Mr. Britton, can you address that?
I will address that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the biggest issue is you can't grant an additional benefit to a small section of the employment.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Because whatever benefit would have to be applicable to all.
Right.
So that would be the first hurdle to get over. The second thing that I would say is that's what personal time is for. Or for those hardships that if they have to use 2 hour increments. With my wife taught school for 25 years, you're probably looking at 3 or 4 days a year that there's a 2 hour delay. That gets back to a choice of do they want to use their personal time for that.
Yeah, and
I fought this in industry, when you've got 1,000 employees and 300 of them's got kids. It is a hardship, but that's what those other benefit days can be utilized for.
So I have a question. You mentioned the small section of people. So these are hourly employees and they're having to use their personal time, which means they're not getting paid for those hours, 8 o'clock till whatever. The salary employees, are they deducting personal time from there? Because they're not losing any money. They're still getting their salary throughout the whole thing. And the hourly people are getting dinged their salary.
And I guess I guess my biggest thing was, like I say, this is all just brainstorming. Because my biggest thing is, I know that it's those things they can't control, but it's, the school sets that we're going to close 2 hours. And I ain't gonna lie to you, my wife's gonna hear this. I cannot stand 2 hour delay days. It throws off everything. It'd be different, like, your snow days are built in. We got so many snow days, but 2 hour days, and I know you're saying, it's usually not that much. We never know what the weather's going to do, but I guess I was just trying to figure out if there's a way to. And I see what you're saying. Maybe I'm just thinking it's
What
unfair
about
to
the
do.
people that don't have children? Is it going to be fair to them? If you made it set?
That's why I'm brainstorming. I'm not just. I'm talking about for. I don't know if it's a way to blanket over. I'm not just picking out those. I'm just saying they're the ones who brought it up to me. So that's what I'm using. I don't care if it's for.
The biggest issue is going to be from a equality of benefits for all county employees and complying with wage and hour laws. You know, the difference between salary employees and hourly employees is different wage and hour laws. We're not gonna change that. I mean, we have to do what the state law says, so that's not gonna be a change. You know, but to segment out a portion of the workforce and give a benefit entirely to them that others could not utilize, you just can't do.
Right. Is there for, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking way back, okay, when the county provided, a portion of our employees' insurance. And the discussion was had then, Chris, what about those people who did not want or need the insurance? Okay, that was a benefit that some of us got, that others, although it was available to them, did not take. So David, what is your, I just keep thinking about the insurance thing because, people think, maybe it's not.
Put yogurt on there.
I realize that some people are like a bunch of 6-year-olds. If you get 2 hours paid that I don't get, oh my God.
It's gonna be a fuss.
Excuse my French.
And I'm not even talking about an actual benefit. I never thought it was a benefit. I didn't know if like, could it even be like that, department his discretion to say, I don't know what they can do. Can they even do
They
that?
can't pay them for that.
No, I'm just
They
saying.
can't pay them, but they can, but there's also another caveat in there, you can use comp time.
Right.
Work over at 4:30 to 5 o'clock today, and they can bank on 30 minutes, and then when they just need
Just
to
a
come
way to
up,
make up.
Well,
make it up.
there is a provision in the handbook today to build up comp time.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there was a special account that we set aside for folks who wanted to donate money to help other employees that had cancer treatments and needed income. So that provision is in the handbook today. That could certainly be utilized for that if they want to
They
make
got
some
something similar to that where I work.
Yes.
For sick bank, but
Yeah.
you could use it as a comp bank, you
They
could donate.
call them care
you know,
programs, they call them all
30
kinds of things.
30 minutes or
Make
so.
up for that. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. I just don't know what they can do.
That they could utilize, we'd probably just have to put something in there about that comp time could be used for that specific scenario.
Yeah, we can come back and definitely revisit. I just didn't know what.
I'm just saying it's, I can look at that a little harder, because as you know, we try to start doing revisions on that in March.
Yeah, that's why.
Get it ready, so.
This is
I
right
can
to
look
the
at it a
last
little
week.
bit closer and just double check with Robert that we're not
Yeah.
missing anything. But from the pay standpoint, you're gonna have to follow federal and state law.
Are there-
I think sometimes we just search for problems.
Are there limitations on donating time to other employees? I know there's like, sometimes they're like, you got to have this much time to be able to donate time to somebody else. You gotta have 16 hours to be able to donate.
I'd have to go back. and see. I did visit that from today's discussion. There, I think really and truly from a comp time standpoint, you could donate it at will.
So if I had personal time and I was like, I want to give Cole, 8 hours of my personal time because he's, in a bad way, he's, whatever. Or he didn't have any, maybe he used all his and he got sick and it's like, okay, I can give him.
We were calling it a bank, that they could bank the time over to help an employee with a situation like that. So
Something really
we
good.
could easily probably change that language, but, or, identify a specific amount of comp time, or the comp time that would be used in that scenario.
Figure out how to manage so that somebody's not utilizing it for, just,
Like I said,
staycation.
my wife taught for 25 years and I raised 2 kids through all that. And the problem is, well, I got a second grader, but I don't take them to school anyway. My mother-in-law does, So how do you manage all that?
And that's one reason why I'm asking, because some of them are different. I just, like I said, there were several, I just didn't know what could be done, because there was a bunch of like
If you do
web.
it through the comp time and banking language that's there, it's managed through the timesheets every week, because that has to be filled out as part of the timesheet. So that's the cleanest, easiest tracking mechanism that we have to do it with.
Probably the fairest.
And then you just have to say, I'm gonna donate to this bank, and then the manager would be responsible for saying, hey.
That's what I was asking. I didn't know. Yes.
I mean, you get the other spectrum, you get as old as I am, and you spend all the time on the doctor.
And I'll tell you what, order in here just a minute. You, an elected official or department head, can get in trouble letting one do that, then you'd have to let the other ones do it. There was actually an elected official on trial in Warren County. It started out small. Donna knows exactly what to do what.
Allowing their people to take it.
Oh, that's why.
benefit that
That's why I
others
didn't.
couldn't
Oh
take.
yeah, and I wasn't trying to get into that. I never.
See, when you start doing something like that, you've got to really.
That's why I'm bringing. That's why I was asking and bringing.
Let me,
Comptrollers do not like stuff.
I'll be glad to come back to you or to send you an email about.
Oh, yeah, this is
No, I mean, just a utilization of how to use that bank option that's in my handbook.
I
today.
want this.
'Cause
I want to take it off.
I don't know that many people know about it. Or that they, or maybe they
Yeah,
know
just-
that over it.
Just do that. That'd be easier. Because whatever's gonna be the.
It was put in there because we had a couple of employees that had exhausted everything they had. And it's still gonna be out a while longer.
Oh yeah.
And some employees wanted to donate some time to help. So that's why we put it in there.
That'll work.
But legally, it would be used as a benefit to a sponsor.
That's why I wanted to tag it, because I didn't explain.
Okay, Chris, that ain't your question.
Yeah, he'll get one.
Yeah. Okay.
Partial.
Thank you.
We got other stuff to talk about. Another meeting. More important.
Chris, tell those little twits up at the.
Which
clerk's
twit?
office. Well, you know, the big twit up there.
I don't want to
What?
be a
Not the boss twit, but the big twit, you know, looks a little bit like me. Well,
Oh,
that big twit, not me dreaming up stuff.
I heard her say one day she's kind of like her mama. I don't know.
You ain't related to that lady up there.
Twit.
She's mad at me. because I
Okay,
bring it
anybody
up.
got anything else?
I bring it up. She's mad.
Anybody got anything else?
Well, I've enjoyed the
Any questions, Kevin?
things, but.
Junior?
Thank y'all.
If you don't mind me saying, I do plan to be back to y'all,
Next week.
late March.
Okay.
Very latest in the first couple of weeks of April
Yeah.
meeting for any proposals to the handbook and stuff this year. And there's 3 or 4 things that we tagged that we need to clean up. So I'll certainly be back to you by then, with some recommendations for this approval process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tommy, before we,
What is,
before you adjourn, we're gonna do.
yes, explain this.
The other thing I was going to say is in terms of the, clinic, one of my great concerns is that the space for the sick people to be over here and the well people to be over there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and that, to me, that is,
Building.
I mean, if I go
report.
in for a routine, something, I don't know, or, and everybody's just coughing and hacking, I'm gonna back out of the room and say, you know, I think I'll just go to the fast place.
And I don't know if y'all, I was in the other way, but if y'all want to see how big a space that could be utilized, use Pioneer Pediatrics. They have a well side and a sick side. And it's a whole, it's probably 2 rooms this size
Yeah.
in reality.
It was.
Yeah, well, they brought that up, but they had to get. I mean, that was what they chose, because I think they had wanted another alternative for the space. Yeah, I know what you're saying. They brought the lady.
And
brought that up.
it may not even be a second location. Maybe it's, you just change locations and you renovate the space to make it bigger so you can put other patient rooms in there and she can still see more patients. You can get the sick well. I mean, and that's why we just got to figure out maybe it's not the two locations or duplicating. Maybe it's just, adding space.
I don't think it's a provider issue. I think
No.
it's a space issue and take some of the non-provider stuff off of the provider.
Yeah, and as far as the provider could probably see more people if they had more space to be able to do so, and then we can pull it out.
Last comment for me. Is there any space that's not utilized? Like if you did a survey of each room that's already in that building that's existing, that's not being used a lot? I mean, I know they're all being used, but is there one that's not being used a lot where we'd be like, say this was one of the rooms, well, we could share this with the other person?
Not that you couldn't walk through. It's used for education. You couldn't. They have to like.
There's meeting, like there's a conference room that's right next to it, but they use it for conference space all the time.
Okay. And could they not like maybe fix I know that parking space is right there, but could they extend it out and try to figure out a different like parking space on the opposite side of the road? I don't know. That's just me. I wasn't here when y'all were talking. I apologize.
Cole, you got something else?
Yeah, real quick. So the auditor, there's different types of auditors. Quick scenario. There's different types of auditors because of some of the revenue is not the word I should be using. Justin would get really mad at me. The money that we have taken in my department through permitting, we've crossed the threshold that we are now what they consider materiality. We have to go through materiality audit. Long story short, they want me to report every month. I need a full report every month that shows the amount of money we've taken in, the amount of permits, the amount of people we've paid, and they don't want to see an outstanding balance. So any unpaid permits in my system as of right now just forever stay as an outstanding balance. And so I need this committee to basically, I don't know if Tommy wants to do it in the form of a vote, but I was just going to want the county committee's blessing. From here on out, we are going to void permits after 30 days of no payment.
Does it start in February?
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to title it, authority to void permits after 30 days, not 30 days. Not
They'll stay in the system, but we will subtract any fees that are owed and just mark.
So that we don't have.
And if they ever want to get a permit after that, they'll just have to start. Because I can't delete them, but I can.
I make a motion to that effect.
Give his office the authority to void permits 30 days.
If they haven't been paid.
If they're not gonna pay it in 30 days, then
That's right.
they're not gonna pay it at all.
That's why, we're missing 450 outstanding right now. It's a permit that was pulled at the beginning of.
That's that same one that's been staying on there.
Well, that one, yeah, it's been on there.
Okay, but you could explain that to Steve. If he had to step out there and hold that other
I
meeting.
need the authority to void permits after 30 days if they have not been paid. That way there's not a forever balance in my system showing that we have a disconnect between how much money's over.
And this is ordered by the state.
Yeah, they want us as a
Comptroller or auditor?
comptroller.
Comptroller.
Report everything. Called a void permit report.
Mommy,
This is state mandated by the comptroller's office.
And we might not have to do it forever. I'll be honest with you, the Bridgestone initial permits over the last couple of years have thrown us over that. And once that slows down, we might go back to the old ones. But as of right now, I gotta live to a higher standard than most departments in the county because of the money that I intake.
Well, that's just a housekeeping
It is.
thing. Yes, just
Keep
cleaning
the
up the
books.
report.
Keeps the book.
Just cleaning up.
I just didn't want to willy-nilly start doing it.
Hey, Chris, you won't get this. This will give the codes office the authority to void permits after 30 days.
Right.
Unpaid.
And you say it was called a void permit report?
A void permit.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. I know we got a motion and a second. He came
Got a
in.
motion by Donna, and second by Kenny. We were repeating it because Steve.
That's what I'm saying. We didn't do the patch.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Any questions from you guys? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Just wanted you to hear that. So you can,
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody hanging on before we go ahead.
I'm glad you reminded me of that. If there's nothing else, you have anything else?
Just gonna say I'm not on the committee, but I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
You got a motion by Kenny, second by Donna.